All right, welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. And today we're going super basic.
Yeah.
We're talking about basic English greetings
Uh-huh.
and conversation starters,
Yeah.
which, as you become fluent in English or any language, you tend to forget about these.
Right.
But we have a stack of sources here that are like beginner guides
Okay.
to English as a second language. And we thought, let's do a deep dive into the fascinating stuff that lies just beneath the surface of these everyday phrases.
Cool.
So, you ready to go?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's amazing how, these basic interactions can reveal so much about, cultural values and linguistic quirks.
Yeah, absolutely. So our first source starts out with the classics.
Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Right.
I remember when I first started learning French, I struggled with those.
Uh-huh.
Like, why do so many languages divide the day up like that?
I know, it's interesting, isn't it? I read one theory that it might be tied to, like, the rhythm of the day. In sort of our agricultural past, like, the morning was for work, the afternoon was for rest, and the evening was for socializing.
Yeah.
So they almost become markers of those different phases.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes total sense. Our source then goes on to good night,
Okay.
which is interesting because that's used both for bedtime,
Right.
but also when you're leaving somewhere at night. I remember once I was in France, I told a shopkeeper good night at like 7 p.m.
Oh, no.
And he gave me the weirdest look.
Yeah. I mean, like, context is everything, right?
Right.
So, like, that's a good example of how a phrase can take on all these different meanings depending on the situation.
Right, exactly, yeah. So we've mastered the art of saying hello, but how do we break the ice?
Okay.
How do we introduce ourselves?
Right.
I always find that a little awkward. It's in another language.
Sure.
So our source goes on to the standards like I am or my name is, followed by nice to meet you. But let's be real. That feels a little stiff, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, what about some less formal options?
Okay.
And does how are you always have to be in there?
Good point. Yeah. So our sources offer how's it going
Okay.
as a more casual alternative. And, in terms of responses, I'm fine, thank you. That works in like more formal settings. Whereas I'm good, how about you? Feels a little more relaxed.
Right.
You wouldn't want to hit your new boss with a what's up.
Yeah, definitely not. So we've said hello, we've introduced ourselves. What about going a little bit beyond that and asking some questions?
Right.
So our sources list some basics. What's your name?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you from? How old are you?
Yeah, those are good starting points. But going back to what we were talking about before, context is key.
Right.
Asking an adult their age in certain cultures, big no-no.
Huge no-no. So it makes you realize how many unspoken rules there really are in conversation. Like if you were traveling to a new country, what other polite questions would you want to know how to ask?
That's a great question for our listener to ponder. Yeah.
Yeah. What would they want to know?
Every culture has its own etiquette, so doing a little research beforehand could really help you avoid some faux pas.
Yeah, absolutely. So going on, our source talks about basic responses like yes and no. But even a yes can be said in so many ways. Yeah, yep, sure.
Right.
Does that informality vary across languages as well?
Totally, yeah. And it goes beyond the word itself, too. Tone of voice plays a huge role.
Right.
A yes can sound enthusiastic, hesitant, or even sarcastic, depending on how you say it.
Yeah, I remember that time I was in Italy and I thought the waiter was being rude.
Oh, yeah.
But it turns out that's just how they say no, very directly.
Yeah. It's a reminder that, like, those nonverbal cues are just as important as the words themselves.
Especially across cultures, yeah. So then our source ends with the essentials. Thank you. And you're welcome. And it's amazing how universal those phrases are.
I know. It really makes you wonder why expressions of gratitude are so consistent across cultures. Maybe it's because they tap into like a fundamental human need for reciprocity.
Right.
Like acknowledging acts of kindness, reinforcing those social bonds.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. So to wrap things up, our source actually has a couple of sample dialogues. So let's hear them in action.
Okay.
A, good morning.
Say.
B, good morning. A, my name is John. Nice to meet you. B, nice to meet you too. My name is Mary. A, where are you from?
B,
I am from Canada. How about you? A, I'm from the United States. B.
E.
That's interesting.
A, thank you. B, you're welcome.
All right, let's try another one.
A, good evening. B, good evening. A, how's it going? B, I'm good. How are you? A, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. B, what's your name? A, my name is Sarah. B, nice to meet you, Sarah. A, nice to meet you too.
So notice that nice flow Greeting, intro, questions, response.
Yeah, it's like a dance, isn't it? It is. It is. It's like a conversational dance. And remember, even if you stumble a little effort and politeness goes a long way.
Absolutely. So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We
We
have.
talked about greetings, introductions, basic questions, the importance of context, and even a little bit about nonverbal communication.
Mhm.
It really goes to show that even in basic English, there's a surprising amount of depth.
Absolutely. And for our listeners out there, remember, language learning is a journey, not a destination. Even small steps can open up a world of possibility.
Beautifully said. And like our source says, let me know if you want to practice more. So I hope this deep dive has inspired you to keep exploring the wonderful world of language.
Because even in our increasingly connected world, there's something truly special about connecting with others through language.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you next time.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.